Hey friends! Today we're going to take a look at my morning basket. We're going to look at the loop that I've created for art, music, and Bible, and kind of show you some of the things that I've got set up in the two different baskets that I use for the most part. And so if that's interesting to you, stay tuned. I want to start by talking about my loop that I created. So I am doing a loop for art, music, and Bible because I wanted to make sure to keep our reading interesting and diverse so that we wouldn't get bored having the same thing every day. So the way that I've done my loop is I have my main morning basket, and this is the things that we do during breakfast. Okay, now this is our second week of homeschooling, and so far this is going pretty well as far as the reading time during breakfast. So on the side here, hope you can see that, I've labeled the three colors that I have because we homeschool on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So on Monday is red, and all the books that I have labeled red are the books that I'm doing on Mondays. And then Wednesdays is blue, so same thing, and Fridays is orange. And then I also have my poly folders labeled with the same color. So this is the work that we're going to do when it's time for our desk work time. We have a little lap desk that we use on the couch. And so this is also just kind of plugged in here. We don't do it during our breakfast time, but it's ready so that when it's time to transition to the couch and do our seat work per se, it's already in here ready to go. I also use this poly folder to divide the days. So I know when I get to that folder, I'm done with everything that I need to do for that day, and I'm ready to transition to our seat work time. So kind of what I've done is on Mondays, I have three different things. I have a Bible component, which is the 101 favorite stories from the Bible. We really like this. It starts in Genesis and works its way through the most common biblical accounts that we teach to children. And then we also, since we're still focusing on a letter at a time, we have the Big Thoughts for Little People, and this is ABCs to help you grow. So kind of what you have in here is whatever letter we're studying that week, we go to that letter and we read about that particular skill that it's talking about. So this says H is for helping, and that tells a little bit about it and asks some questions about how you can help and makes a practical application. And then it has a Bible verse that goes along with it. So I really like that. And then I also wanted to make sure to tie in art and music. So on Monday we have an art focus, on Wednesday we have a music focus, and then on Friday we have one of each. So this is also an alphabet book. So whatever letter we're working on that week, we go to that letter. So if it's E, you have this famous painting, and then it's an I Spy, and you have to find something, whatever it tells you, that starts with that letter. And then at the bottom, it tells you the title of the painting and the artist. Our next Bible, and I've kind of got it marked. I haven't marked those yet, but I need to. So I know exactly which page to flip to, so it doesn't take as long, and so we can keep trucking right on to the next thing and not lose interest so quickly. So this one is the Character Builder's Bible. I really like this. This was today's that we read, and it talks about self-control, and it tells you kind of a paraphrased account, and then it has kind of what self-control means and how we can strive to have self-control. And then these are different ways that you can actually apply it in your everyday life and how you can ask God to help you have self-control. So last week we looked at diligence. It goes through peer pressure, unselfishness, flexibility, lots of different things. So it teaches good character traits also while applying it to the Bible. And then for our music on Wednesdays, we have music and how it works. So this one we're kind of just being real relaxed with. Last week we started with just looking at the keyboard, which we have right there, and she loves to play on it. And we just kind of talked about the letters that are on there, that there are octaves and there are whole notes and half notes and what the difference in the black and white keys are, and just kind of talked about it some. And then it kind of has you play Happy Birthday, which is one of her favorite songs. So she wakes up every day, whose birthday is it? I'm like, I don't know. Or, today's so-and-so's birthday. But she loves that part. So that was last week. And so this week, while we were looking, we decided we were going to look at a little bit more in depth at the keyboard. And it kind of talks about what a chord is and what a triad is. And I mean, just overview. Obviously, she's not going to retain all this, but it's just simple things that we're looking at, trying to get her familiar with the keyboard, the piano, because she likes the instrument, she likes to play on it, and one day we want to be able to give her lessons. But this book is really cool because it goes through like all aspects of music. It talks about rhythm and tempo and the different genres of music and different instrument types and voice and all that stuff. So that one's really cool. Now, every day we are reading our Zigzag Zebra right now. So again, we're going back to the letter of the week, which I have a planning video that kind of talks about the different curriculum we're using and how I put all that together, and I'll link that up here so you can look at that. But this one is like we are working on B this week. It goes through B, and we have our little poem that we read, and we're reading this every day. And then on Friday, we have a little bit of everything. Friday, we have the 365 Bible Prayers for Children. It's just a little short clip of a prayer, and it's based on a Bible passage that you can read. And it, again, starts with Genesis and goes through the Bible as well. So this one is a child's ABCs of praise, and it also goes through whatever the letter of the week is. So this week we'll look at B being beautiful. And it kind of just talks about what is beautiful and has a place where you can interact with the book. But we haven't been doing that. I don't plan on writing the book because I plan on using it again in the future. We could always take this activity and put it on paper. But I'm actually thinking about moving this to Wednesday, so we have a little bit more on Wednesday and not as much on Friday. And it also goes along with the music that we're looking at on Wednesday too. So this may turn to be blue at some point. Friday we have M is for Melody. And again, it's the letter of the week. And so we find the letter and we read that page. So it's still pretty short and sweet. This whole thing doesn't take but maybe 10 or 15 minutes because I'm just reading a page or two from each text. And since I already know exactly what texts I'm going to be using, then it doesn't take as long. I already have them marked for the most part. I need to mark the rest of them, but I already have them marked with a Post-it, so I know exactly which page to turn to, so it doesn't take that long either. And then on Fridays, we're looking at animals and art. That goes along with our curriculum that we're using, which is Letters and Numbers by Gather Round. And so most of that is about different animals. So we're looking at whatever the letter of the week is again, and we're finding that letter, looking at that art, and reading the little poem that goes along with it. And it's really cool. She's really enjoying that too. So that's Fridays. And then I also just have some extra stuff in here that we look at as needed. So I've got, since we're doing our animal curriculum for the most part, the Big Book of Beasts, and we pull out whichever animal that we're looking at so that we can read that too. We also have just My Awesome Nursery Rhymes book, where it's pretty cool because all the pages are different shapes. So we've got that also that we look at every once in a while. I'm planning on changing out our hymns and our morning menus every month. And so this one is marked for the hymn that we are currently studying, which is Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. If you've not seen books like this, they're called Then Sings My Soul. And there are a couple of different volumes of this. And it has the hymn on the left, and then it has the background story about the author and how the hymn came to be and kind of the circumstances and situation around that. And so it's really cool to learn a little bit more about some of our favorite hymns. I also have these, so y'all listen. Master Books has some fire sales sometimes. I got these books for $2.99 a piece. A, they're hardback, and B, they're fantastic. So these are Marvels of Creation, and so it has the mammals version, the sea creatures, and birds. So last week in our numbers and letters curriculum, we looked at a hornbill and we looked at a sloth. So these are tagged for an anatomy of birds. And so I marked that and we looked at that and what makes a bird and talked about that kind of thing. And then we also looked at sloths. So I had this one ready. Of course, now the one that we studied was a three-toed sloth, and so we talked about the differences, but we had this ready to look at as well. So these are really cool. And they were cheap. All right, also down the side, I have these prayer cards from Life in the Mundane. It's prayers for the new year. If you haven't checked out her channel, go check it out. She's fantastic. And it kind of has different things to remember to pray for. It can be hard to have diversity in prayer when you're talking with a toddler, because they want to pray for themselves or they want to be hurried up and done with the prayer. So this kind of gives us something different to look at. I printed it on cardstock, laminated it, and put it on a ring. But it says, don't forget you need to praise God. And here are some things that you can praise God for. And forgive me for. These are some things I might do that I need to ask forgiveness for. And it's really good because this has prompted some good conversation. Because one of the things on here is when I'm not listening. And so that's something that I model how to pray for. And she will say, oh yeah, I like the time I did that. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good example. So we want to pray that God helps us to be better listeners. And so it kind of goes through praying for your family, praying for your country, praying for your neighborhood, praying for lost people and all that. So this has been a really good tool for us to kind of have more context to our prayer, not kind of doing the same thing over and over. And then just as some extra stuff down the side, I also have number and letter cards. And then that's pretty much all that's in this basket. And then I have this basket. Now this basket is more of my thematic unit basket for the month. This is what we're studying for our our science curriculum, what we're studying for just the month, seasonal things that I've talked about. Remember in that my planning video, I talked about having something that I kind of wanted to focus on for the month that went along with holidays. This is going to kind of include all of that. It also has our library books that we've checked out. So last week we went to the library for the very first time and she loved it. So it's also got those in here so we don't lose them. But these are just our library books. But we're learning about all about me and how I'm special. So we've been reading these just kind of not necessarily during our homeschool time, but just as I've got this basket out, it's sitting where she can get to it at any time. And when she wants to read, we can pull some out. If she wants to read to herself, that's fine too. So I've got You Are Special by Max Lucado, and I also have Just the Way You Are by Max Lucado. And then I've got these fabulous books which are Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon, Speak Up, Molly Lou Mellon, and I Like Myself. These are all illustrated by David Cottrell, who's one of my favorite illustrators. But they all talk about self-esteem and having confidence in yourself, and so that's something I want to instill in her. We also have just some alphabet type books that we've been looking at. So we've got Alphabet Mystery and Alphabet Rescue, and we've been looking at those. And then this one is another ABC book, so Eating the Alphabet, and it goes through what foods start with each letter. And then, of course, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. I Am One, which is one person can make a difference. I Am a Rainbow. It talks about different colors and then kind of what those colors mean as far as your emotions go. And then we have I Am a Promise by Gloria Gaither, which is a fantastic book that's also a song that talks about you are a promise from God and just that you have lots of possibilities in life. The I Am Special book that we got off of Teachers Pay Teachers and we created, it talks about things specific to Cora. We also have our letter A book that we made last week. So as part of our All About Me, we've looked at the 5 senses. So we got the Magic School Bus and its 5 senses. This is an Usborne Look Inside Your Body, and I've got it tabbed to the page that talks about the 5 senses. And then this is a book we got at the library. You Can't Taste a Pickle with Your Ear. It's a book all about the 5 senses. Aesop's Fables, because it wouldn't fit in my other basket. And last week we read Curious George's First Day of School. And then we also have, we're learning about me on the map this week. So like where we live and what state and country and city and all of that as part of our All About Me unit. And so there's a map on my lap. So we got this from the library as well. Every month, these are going to rotate out of this basket to go along with whatever we're studying. And then my main morning basket will rotate whenever we're finished with each book. Almost forgot. Our read aloud book. So that's also in the morning basket. We are reading Charlotte's Web, and if you saw my last video about planning, I was not sure how to do read alouds. And let me tell you, I took a leap and decided to do more complex text than I thought she was ready for, and just to see how things would go. And she has done so fantastic with this. Now, I will say, there are days when she wants to read more. There are days when she doesn't want to read as much, and I just kind of let her go with the flow. We have definitely read this more than just our 3 homeschool days. And it's been really fun to have her dad come home in the evenings, and he wants to know, what did you read in Charlotte's Web today? And what's going on? And she's able to remember. And in fact, she's even been pretending like she's Wilbur, and she's getting her daddy to be Charlotte, and he's trying to save her from getting eaten. So it's been really fun to see her interact and act out the text and enjoy it so much. So I'm also going to include kind of a little visual aid that I made to help her remember who the different animals and characters were. She was having a hard time remembering that. So we've got this up, and it's right in our living room for her to look at while we're studying our text. And while I'm reading this, she's either coloring or she is doing her morning menu, which is a bunch of tracing things, and I'll show you that in the next video. So that's everything in my morning basket and my theme basket that I use for the month. So if you have any questions or any suggestions on books I should add, or maybe a different approach to how I'm doing things, let me know. Give those ideas to me in the comments, because I'm still learning, and I definitely want all the feedback I can get to improve. Also, be looking forward to a video about my morning menus that we use, so that you can kind of see a flip through of that and how I decided to set those up. I hope you come on back and join us next time as we explore education, ministry, and more.